to talk about whatever the heck they want to talk about. They don't even care. It's just like, you can't find the seed for that conversation anywhere, anything we said half the time. It's like, how did you all get there? And I go back through the comments. I'm like, man, I'm telling you, I don't know what's going on. All right, there we are. So we're live on Facebook right now. Come check us out. And do us a big favor, hit the share button, send that out to your friends and to your family. And we're going to do like in the old school. We're going to say a word of prayer for the Facebook Live feed. Lay hands on your Facebook Live feed on your screen. Touch and agree right now that it will last until 7 a.m. Actually, we only need it till 6:55. That's all. We won't be greedy, Lord. So listen, this morning, expect a lot of rain in Philadelphia, and there is a big winter storm coming on Wednesday, so they say. But, you're obliged to run out in full panic mode, COVID style, and get up all the groceries you can because it's going to be a long day sitting inside. So that being said.
We've been doing that the last 10 months.
Exactly. Go get all the toilet paper because a winter storm is on the way. All right. So check it. Today is the day. Trump has exhausted all of his legal avenues. Nothing has worked. I mean, that's the interesting thing. Like, hundreds of lawsuits, nothing has been able to stick. That ought to tell you something if you're a Trump supporter. Obviously, they don't really care about the facts. They're still upset because, after all, it had to be cheating. That being said, on today, the electors will go into the Electoral College, and it's not very high tech. It's just literally pieces of paper. You write your candidate's name on there for president and for vice president, and you drop those ballots in the box, and that's it. They're gathering all around the country, all the states, territories, and other areas that have electoral college votes. And so what is a faithless elector? Is that a person who doesn't have faith that Facebook Live will stay until 6:55 if we touch and agree? What's a faithless elector?
A faithless elector is one that votes against the will of the people and votes their own way. So those would be faithless electors.
Has this ever happened before? Because that's like the last big hope for the Republicans, is that the people who will go in will just rebel against their party, see Donald Trump's greatness, and cast a vote for Donald Trump anyway.
Yeah, so actually the last election, there was debate about whether people would be faithless electors or not. And I think there was controversy about one person, but they wound up voting the right way. And that was somebody that was actually going to vote for Clinton. So other than that, though, I think that it was there has not been in recent history a faithless elector.
Well, I want to give people reason to just calm down because, again, it's for us to like dig deep into this stuff for you all. You listen in to shows like this to get a little bit of, information, inspiration, our take, our opinion. But here's some facts that you can count on. So Pennsylvania, the electors are chosen before the election happens, and they're now awarded to the winner of the popular vote. And so the electors that were chosen by Joe Biden back in August will be the people casting the votes today. So if you ever had any concern about will these people actually do it, let me just tell you a few names. City Council member from Philadelphia, Cindy Bass. I don't think she's going to vote for Donald Trump today.
Oh, not at all.
Ryan Boyer, who has a show on this program. Does they still have a show on here? The Laborers Live?
Laborers Live on Fridays at 4. Yep.
Okay, so business manager of Laborers International Union of North America Business Council. I don't think he's going to vote for Donald Trump. Daisy Cruz, 32 BJ. I don't think Daisy is going to vote for Donald Trump. State Representative Jordan Harris. State Senator Sharice Street, and big-time MSNBC Trump opponent, Pennsylvania State Attorney General, possibly our next governor, Josh Shapiro. Yeah, good luck with faithless electors coming out of a group like that. Do you see any of them wrestling today with the moral, I have a moral dilemma. Do I vote for Donald Trump, who didn't win the popular vote, or do I vote for my guy?
Yeah, I don't see that being a problem. So
But I don't know. Malcolm Kenyatta, I don't know.
they will gather in state capitals across the country, and they will cast their ballot, and there will be a new president selected today.
In Georgia, one of the electors for Georgia is a woman you might know by the name of Stacey Abrams. And almost all the 16 electors kind of sound and look like Stacey Abrams. Do you think Stacey Abrams is not going to vote for Joe Biden today?
Nope, they're going to do their jobs. Now, we do have to say, though, this weekend in Washington, D.C., there were very violent protests happening on the streets of D.C. between the Trump supporters, the MAGA people, the Proud Boys, and anti-protesters. I actually was wild. I knew nothing about this until it was happening in D.C. on Saturday, that they were taking on the streets. They were out there protesting and clashing with the police. So MAGA's not going quietly, but they're going to be gone in a minute.
Well, the Proud Boys are crazy, man. Now this is a real issue because they attacked a couple of black churches in D.C. They were chanting. I saw the video in front of my friend's church, Reverend Bill Lamar at Metropolitan AME, Mother Bethel's sister congregation, where Frederick Douglass's funeral was held, by the way, and where Obama and Clinton both had their inaugural prayer breakfasts before they were inaugurated. So very historic. It's our national cathedral. They had a sign out that says Black Lives Matter in the front yard of the church. So the Proud Boys are marching down the street. A reporter is following them, independent reporter who posted on Twitter, and they're using our chant. Whose streets? Our streets. So they want to, try to take our chant. The problem is, bro, when we do that, it's not usually associated with violence. I mean, it's kind of more like a democratic, it's our theological, philosophical reflection on democracy. It's like, whose streets? They're our streets because our tax dollars pay for it.
Right.
With them, it's more like, whose streets? Our streets. Burn this whole damn thing down.
That's right.
I'm like, that's not really the spirit of the chant. And so that's what they are chanting, whose streets? Our streets, as they are destroying property on a church. And they did it to Asbury United Methodist Church, another historic black congregation in D.C. Usually when attacks start on black churches, they are followed by attacks on black people. Facts.
Yeah. So it was a long night in D.C. as they continued to clash and go back and forward. And I think we keep saying this over and over again, and it's frustrating to say. This is like the last vestiges of the white supremacy that we've seen from the Trump administration, dying out, basically going out with a bang. But it is not good that this is continuing, and I imagine that it will continue for a season long. So we have to keep wrestling with these folk that feel empowered and emboldened in this moment, and also sort of like wrestling with, I'm glad the Electoral College is doing their thing today. They'll vote today. They'll do their thing. They will move on, and we will have definitive president-elect, and it doesn't really make a difference what the congressional Republican Congress people or senators say. On January 20th, Chief Justice John Roberts will swear in Joseph Robinette Biden and Kamala Harris as president and vice president of this country, and we'll move forward. But some folk just don't know how to let go and move on. So that's their problem at the moment.
A lot of these guys are the ones who get restraining orders on them at some point in their lives.
Absolutely. And they're out there in the woods shooting up trees and, animals and doing all kinds of stuff. It's absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely.
No, really, this is like this is the crowd that doesn't know that no means no.
They don't know what consent means, yeah.
This is no, dude, she really wants me. No, bro. Like, the fact that she has a restraining order and all her brothers are at the house there, like telling you, get lost, kind of strongly suggests that she's not into you that way. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Come out. You still love me. No. I'm just saying, I mean, you're right. They don't know how to take the no. So here's one more step that I've heard recently floated.
Mhm.
That Mike Pence, when they're counting the electoral votes, will not accept it. This can happen on January 6th, I think. So it made me think, when that fails, maybe the next step will be convince John Roberts, Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, not to read Joe Biden's name, but instead read Donald Trump's name when he swears him in.
I think John Roberts is sick of Donald Trump. Everybody else. I personally just think he's sick of Donald Trump. I mean, look. It was this weekend when they shot down his latest proposal. It was like denied. It's like time to move on, folks. Time to move on. It's let this thing go.
Well, if that one doesn't work, the next plan is to convince the locksmith not to change the locks.
Oh Lord. Lord.
Dig in, folks. This is, so anyway. Hey, we actually have a caller on who wants to talk about the Electoral College. I don't recognize his name.
Okay.
Clyde calling in from a cell phone about the Electoral College. Good morning, Clyde. Welcome to the Power Hour.
Good morning, gentlemen. I'm glad that y'all are talking about it, but one of the problems that I have, from like last month, and everybody's like, get out and vote, get out and vote, get out and vote. My thing is that it hasn't been explained to the general public because a lot of people are not aware of it and how it takes place. They're not aware of the 12th Amendment and how this thing functions. And not only are the electors voting for the president, they're also voting for the vice president. That's clear in the Constitution. But for some reason, people don't want to read it, don't want to believe it or anything like that there. Not only that, these electors are appointed. They are appointed, and people don't even realize that point of it. So I'm just saying that because there's been so many tricks played in politics, that when stuff happens, people get upset. And it just appalls me sometimes when we keep saying we got to vote, and all these things are not explained to the general public. And, I mean, I learned this like in high school. And it just stunned me. I'm looking at it. I'm like, oh, you mean to tell me that they can go against the vote? It's not a faithful vote.
But Clyde, all right, I hear that. But you just heard me read the list of so the electors are chosen. Each candidate, once you become the major party candidate, you get to pick your electors. So these electors are not picked by anybody else other than the candidate. At least in Pennsylvania, that's the case. So Joe Biden's campaign. I know half of the people on this list very well. And I know, do you honestly think anybody on the list from Pennsylvania, and I'm assuming you live in PA, is not going to vote the way that they were intended to vote?
But here's the thing. I'm not saying that, but here's the thing. It has happened, and I think a person, I don't know if it was in Colorado or something like that there, and they actually kicked them off the electoral college.
Right.
So, and then they just had a hearing about that in the Supreme Court, and that went, under the radar with a lot of people. I'm just saying that a lot of us don't pay attention to this, and everybody,
right.
There. And I'm glad that y'all are spelling it out. And I actually talked to Cindy Bass last week on somebody's show, and she just confirmed everything that I said, that they also vote for the vice president, and they meet, in the second week in December, and that's. I was telling people, that vote and everything is like, as much as we want to say this over, I just don't trust politicians at all. And I mean, we done seen the tricks over the last. We've seen it with Gore. You know what I mean?
Hey Clyde, we're up on the break. Man, we really appreciate your call and a fresh voice, and we got to take a break. But when we come back, we'll unpack some of what you just said, because again, that's what we're talking about. We did say at the top of this that the electors are voting for the president and the vice president, and laid some of that out. But we'll get into a little bit of this and more. Appreciate your call. And Clyde is right. I too have a distrust for politicians and politics, which is why we stay on top of it the way that we do. Hey, we'll be right back. It's the Power Hour. When we come back, we'll also talk about the vaccine and throw a little bit of misogyny on top of it. See what Snoop Dogg and Joe Epstein have in common this morning. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Jeff Brown from Brown's Family ShopRites and Fresh Grocers. Are you thinking about a part-time job to help out with the cost of the holidays? We have plenty of openings. You can apply online at shoprite.com/careers or freshgrocer.com/careers. Come join the Brown family today and help us serve the people of Philadelphia. Have a great holiday.
This message is from the Philadelphia Department of Public Health. COVID-19 is still a threat in our communities, but we can all do something simple to help stop the spread. It's critically important to wear a mask or face covering whenever you're in public or around others. Yes, even while social distancing. Wearing a mask shows you care for yourself and your community and is essential to slowing the spread of COVID-19. So love yourself, love your neighbors, wear a mask.
At PICO, we know one thing is certain. Times have changed. From kitchen classrooms to couch conference calls, searching for a new job, or new ways to keep your family connected. These changes have become a part of our reality. That's why our teams are working 24/7 to meet the needs of our communities. So no matter how much things change, you can depend on PICO to be there with the energy and help you need to power through. Learn more at pico.com.
Now, a traffic update on WURD Radio.
Good morning. Pretty quiet start here in Philadelphia this morning. Not a bad ride southbound 95. Cotton through Bridge. A little slow through the ongoing construction. South of that, Allegheny through Girard. Some light volume there. Northbound moves fine. Westbound Vine Expressway not bad into the Schuylkill Expressway. Westbound Schuylkill University through South Street. A little slowing through that construction zone. Eastbound side looks good. PA Turnpike, Bluebird 476 off to a fine start. 42, 55, 295. No problems throughout South Jersey yet. For more traffic information, log on to SIGAlert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Welcome back to the Power Hour with Mark Kelly Tyler and Dwayne David Royster. We're here Monday through Fridays from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. to bring you the latest news, happenings around Philadelphia, and, of course, our opinion. So we were continuing this conversation. We had a great caller by the name of Clyde who just called in, was asking questions about the Electoral College. And actually, I wanted to go back. While we were on the break, I went and looked something up. So there have been instances of 163 faithless electors in the last 200 years.
Yeah, out of like how many thousands of actual
absolutely.
Electors?
It's a very rare thing. And the interesting thing is that in times that there have been faithless electors, it's either that the faithless elector is one that abstains from voting, or somebody that votes for another candidate. Generally, they're voting for a third-party candidate, or they choose to vote for somebody that wasn't even on the ballot. So that's the way that they have operated. There's been one instance when a whole state delegation refused to vote for the VP nominee, but voted for the president, and then it had to go. This was in 1836. The Virginia delegation abstained from voting for the Democratic vice presidential nominee, Richard Johnson, and it wound up going to the Senate, which actually voted to seat him at that moment in time. They voted for Martin Van Buren, though, who was the president that they had pledged for. But then each state actually gets to set up its own rules in terms of what to do with faithless electors. So Pennsylvania decided the best way to deal with this was that each party each candidate gets to put together their own slate of electors. Should they win, these are the electors that will be then appointed to go forth and to vote for them. So there have been some situations of this occurring. It's been very rare for the most part. And again, there's never been a situation where anybody flipped to the other candidate. It's either they didn't vote, or they voted for a third-party candidate, or they voted for a person that wasn't even on the ballot in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, so listen, it's not going to happen. I mean, now Michigan is kind of interesting to me because unlike most of these states where high-powered political party members are selected, Michigan, I went through their list, these are mostly like retirees or people who work just like literally regular, jobs, right? One of the people is 96 years old.
96 years old.
In Michigan. They have a number of people who are like well into their 80s, and one is 96, and they have to vote in person. And it's Michigan, and it snows a lot.
Mm.
I'm just kind of, they have to what?
They have to go to their state capital. I can only imagine what's happening in Michigan, though, because Michigan is like, those folk up there are crazy.
Man, they are. I'm just like tripping, like, seriously? But it's a great honor, you know, especially for a person who's not a part of the political, you know, system. I would imagine it's a great honor to be one of the electors. One person from Michigan was quoted. So in Michigan, one of the stories that was run in I think the Detroit Free Press or Michigan.com or whatever, they interviewed almost all of them. Mm-hmm. And one of the people said their first election, they voted for Nixon, and ever since they've been trying to atone. So today is epic. They finally really get to, you know, say I'm sorry to the universe for that vote back in 1968 or 72, whenever it was. All right, so wow, man, this is really going to be something today, and you know, the idea that, you know, that Trump supporters are still upset is very concerning for a lot of people, and especially the way that he is handling this, right? So he's handling it like a child having a temper tantrum in the toy store, in the toy aisle, in the grocery store, like, you know, kicking and screaming, and he's not going to leave until his parents give in and buy him what he wants. Mm-hmm. That's not going to happen. Now, what Raphael points out on Facebook Live is, I think, a bigger concern, and this is what I was hinting at about the attack on Metropolitan Church. Mm-hmm. Now, today we write it off because there are 2 Black Lives Matter signs and banners at Asbury and Metropolitan, no big deal, right? But those are usually things that kind of are foreshadowing of things to come.
Right.
And Raphael's point is that what we need to keep our eye on, you know, are instances of domestic terrorism as people turn their anger outward in other kind of ways. And this is it's frightening to even talk about it, but you got to believe that is something that the FBI, local authorities are going to be paying attention to. And I say to all of us, keep your head on a swivel, right? Because, you know, people believe that something was stolen from them.
Yeah, yeah.
This is not, we lost the election fair and square, and I'm pissed about it, right? And at some point, I could get over that. But what it is difficult to get over is when you have been convinced that something has been taken from you or that someone has something that they don't deserve. That then gives you justification in your mind to go out and do something that is wrong, because in your mind, it is righting a wrong.
That's right.
And this is, again, this is why political folk around the president are urging him to accept publicly the results, calm these people down and send them on home. And if you want to run again in 2024, I think it's a bad look, but that would be far better than this crap we're doing right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, this is just messy. It's actually, it's so bad. Karl Rove came out the other day and said, Americans love a comeback story, but hate sore losers. Now, when Karl Rove, Karl Rove is talking about you, it's really time to give it up. Okay, it's like, you know, this. I mean, what do you say? What do you say to? I mean, Karl Rove, of all people, who was, you know, basically George Bush's gun, right? He was out there, you know, taking all the heads, saying all kinds of crazy things. Is basically telling Trump, you know, you've lost it because you're being a sore loser. Americans don't appreciate sore losers, but they love a comeback story, and you're blowing your chance to do your 2024 comeback, which he could have done. He could have really done that. I mean, all depending on what the Senate did during the Biden years, he could have come back. Trump could have come back and said, look at all the things that I did while I was in office, and Biden could get nothing done. And, you know, that would have been his way back into the White House. But instead, he's gone out, and he just doesn't know how to let go. He doesn't know how to be gracious. I mean, I think this is the one thing about this guy that we just really, he has no grace. He has no grace. So, anyway.
He totally lacks grace. I mean, he lacks empathy. He lacks the ability to acknowledge other people. So I mean, all of his worst, right? Yeah, he's crass.
Yes, absolutely.
He is crass. You know, like you're a multimillionaire. You were born rich.
Mm-hmm.
You were raised rich, and they never taught you how to have respect for other people. They didn't teach you how to. So he was raised. You listen to his niece, right? You know, raised to believe that the world, you know, orbited around him.
Mm-hmm.
Not that we're on the earth, you know, going around the sun, but that he was the sun. And up until this point, everything in his life has seemed to operate that way, right? When he could not get a deal done with banks, what did he do? By all accounts, he threw temper tantrums and just lobbed, you know, court case after court case against them until banks just said, dude, it's not worth it. Just give him what he wants.
Mm-hmm.
And so he always gets what he wants by acting this way. And he doesn't know anything else in his 70s at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But you've run against an institution called a democratic process.
That's right.
And you can't, and that's what his supporters are trying to tell him. It's like, bro, there is nothing you can do here.
You can't get way out of this. That's really
right.
What
Malcolm Kenyatta is not going to go in today and write your name on that slip of paper.
Right.
And none of the 20 electors. In fact, let me tell you, what may happen, mark my words on this, and we'll laugh tomorrow if it's true, what may happen will be some of his electors in states that he won may abstain or write Joe Biden's name in because he is acting in such a manner as he is right now to make a larger point about that this is about putting the country first.
Yeah, I would be interested to see if that happens. I would really love to talk about that tomorrow if anybody does that. I'd love to get them on the show. Like, let's have a conversation. Hey,
I'm just saying, you know, faithless electors. So listen, the vaccine is also rolling out today. A lot of concern about black folk taking the vaccine or not, given our history in America, i.e. Tuskegee, just say that word, and that kind of, you know, you think of one or two things. You think Tuskegee Airmen, or you think these Tuskegee trials with syphilis that, you know, that infected so many black men on purpose and did not let them know, rather, that they had this disease that was killing them. And so there are a lot of reasons that black folk are skeptical about vaccines. So I'm glad to see Dr. Ayla Stanford step up, and she has been leading the Black Doctors Coalition in Philadelphia, testing like hundreds and thousands of black people since COVID started. She said she is getting the vaccine. And so if Dr. Ayla Stanford is saying that she is getting the vaccine, that's good enough for me. When that time comes, should I be fortunate enough to get it, I will also do it. If for no other reason than a trusted, credible messenger that I believe in has said she's going to take it. Are you going to get the vaccine, sir?
Absolutely. I'm getting it. Well, actually, I've been telling people that already. As soon as, because I went back and started reading some of the preliminary analysis and stuff. Not that I'm a scientist and can do that, but I do have a bachelor's of science. But it's in management. But I was determined that I was going to get the shots. I mean, I have no choice no matter. My wife's a nurse, so she will have to get it. And I mean, I'm going to be way down the list like a lot of other people to be able to get it. But when it becomes available to me, we will certainly take that shot and get that vaccine. I know there's a lot of anti-vaxxers out there, but I'm not. No, we're going to get the shot.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm getting it as well. And speaking of like anti-vaxxers, you made me kind of think of something. I wanted to talk about Snoop and this whole Jill Biden flap, how those two intersect. Snoop criticizing Cardi B, and this guy Epstein criticizing Dr. Jill. But for a moment, can we talk about, because the anti-vaxxers kind of tend to come out of it kind of comes out of their religion, right?
Yeah.
So can we talk a little bit about Biden and his faith, and Democrats in general, and kind of conservative pushback around these single issue things to define what a Christian is. So Tony, I know you don't like sports, but Tony Dungy, former head coach of the Indianapolis Colts and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Tony Dungy is quite a character, former African-American head coach, but he tweeted out recently that Raphael Warnock, our friend down in Georgia, who was running for the U.S. Senate. He raises the question, is he really a Christian? He says, I know he's a pastor, but is he a Christian because he is pro-choice? Now, pro-choice does not mean you are pro-abortion. It just means that you are saying that every person, women and men, because men weigh in on those decisions as well, oftentimes, have the decision, they get to decide what they're going to do in the event that someone gets pregnant. And so that it's not the government's role to deny that choice. Tony Dungy says that makes Raphael Warnock not Christian.
Okay. So here we go. Do you remember, what was the name of that men's movement that was happening in the 1990s?
Promise Keepers.
Promise.
Yeah, I was like, man, get away from me, bro.
Okay.
Get back. I know something is wrong over here, man. Go ahead.
Tony Dungy was like one of the big speakers and a part of Promise Keepers, right? Which was basically, in my estimation, an evangelical male cult. And, you know, it was like thousands of men gathering and purging and confessing and promising that they were going to do better. And really, it was a misogynist men's movement, Christian movement across the country, that men were going to go back and they were going to go lead their families to faith in God. And it lasted for a little while, and then it started to phase out, and then there was all kinds of controversies that came out of it. Tony Dungy was like one of their big speakers. He used to be a part of this. He's a very Christian. He's an evangelical Christian to the core. You know, and evangelicals, like many of our Catholic siblings, you know, really hold to two standards. One is the issue about where you stand on abortion, and the other one is about where you stand on the issue of homosexuality or people who are same-gender loving. And so, you know, he is conservative, bent on both angles, and, you know, believes that abortion is a sin, and believes that women should not have the right to have choice, which also goes back to the misogyny as well. So it does not surprise me that he says that. It really ticks me off because there are plenty of us who are Christians who are pro-choice. I am pro-choice. I make no qualms about it. I have no problem with it. I believe that the conversation has to be had between a woman and her God about what she chooses to do with her body. And, you know, that's my stance on that. I can't speak for what women ought to do with their bodies. It's their bodies, and they get to make that choice about what happens to it. So I believe that that is a faithful position that I have taken, that it's full of faith, because it requires me to be able to have trust in the conversation that happens between a woman and her deity about what she needs to do to care for herself and to care for the world. So it really pisses me off when folk do that, but, you know, it is what it is. He is an evangelical Christian. That's the way he looks at the world.
Yeah, I mean, you tie this into Archbishop Chaput, former Catholic Archbishop of this area, who was cited recently saying that, you know, he would not give communion to Joe Biden. That's right. Who likewise is pro-choice and an active member of the Catholic Church, professing his Christian faith in that way. And it just begs the question to me that, so on this one issue that you have a real disagreement with, that is the line, you know, that's the hill you're going to die on. And yet I don't see any of these anti-Christian tweets aimed at Donald Trump, who has any myriad of issues. I don't get into that. You know what I mean? It's not my business to try to like point out somebody's inconsistencies, because the truth is every single human being has something that, you know, if you want to go by the technical rule of law, disqualifies them from being a Christian, you and me included, right? And so the idea that somehow it's like one party is Christian and one party is not is like the biggest hypocritical thing ever. It's like, are you kidding me? You just had the president, we just did federal executions on last week of 2 people.
That's right.
We killed 2 people.
Yeah, don't tell me you're pro-life when you kill 2 people.
The eye for the eye thing died apparently with like grace in the New Testament. So, I mean, there was a way to keep them out of society, to keep them behind bars the rest of their lives because of the acts that they had been convicted of. There was no reason to kill them. And yet you're saying that is okay to do that as a Christian, but to take an unborn life is not. I mean, killing is, man, let me just tell you, it makes my head hurt when you try to, keep these inconsistent things into some kind of integral argument, because it lacks integrity, and not integrity in like moral values, integrity like a cake staying together,
right,
or something holding together. It can't be held together. And again, I'm just glad we're at a break right now, because my head's about to explode. We got to take a break, and when we come back, I promise you, we've got to at least lay this out. What Snoop Dogg and this guy Epstein, who talked about Dr. Jill Biden, have in common is deep. It's kind of somewhat along the same lines of what we're talking about. Not really, that's a stretch, but kind of. It's the Power Hour. We'll be right back.
Hey, WURD family. Our friends at Amoroso's Baking Company are hiring right now. Amoroso's has been baking the delicious bread in our community for over 100 years, and they want you to join their team today. The old and the young love Amoroso's, and they are hiring right now. Check it out. They offer fair pay and provide health, dental, and prescription plans after 90 days employment. Call 856-754-0355 or visit amorososbaking.com for details.
A holiday message to help us all and answer an important question.
We will never know how many of our friends and family members didn't get COVID-19 because we followed safeguards. We'll never know that number. This is Dan Hilferty, CEO of Independence Blue Cross, with a simple reminder of how much good we do for others when we protect ourselves. We'll never know how many lives we save because we wear masks, wash our hands frequently, and keep social distance. We'll never know exactly who we help, who we save when we take protective steps each day. We'll only know one thing for certain, that we did all we could to save people from the effects of a pandemic with the potential to overwhelm the region. And that's a nice thing for us to live with. Thank you all. For more on what you can do, visit ibx.com. Together, we are beating COVID-19.
COVID-19 affected many things this year, including regular vaccinations. Vaccines are safe, effective, and protect against serious diseases. Make sure you and your family are up to date on all vaccinations. Together, we can keep each other safe and healthy. Let's stay protected together. Get vaccinated today. For more information, visit health.pa.gov. Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
Now, a traffic update on WURD Radio.
Good morning. This report's sponsored by Staples Store. Still not too bad as you make way here through Philadelphia this morning. Volume building unusual spots. Schuylkill westbound getting heavy University through south through that construction. Eastbound delays Montgomery through Girard building. Westbound Vine Expressway slow 8th out through Broadigan Parkway through the Schuylkill Expressway. Southbound 95 Cotman through Bridge. A bit heavy through that work zone. Then delays Allegheny through Girard. Looking at the PA Turnpike, Blue Route 476 in pretty good shape. 55 northbound building a bit north of Deptford into 42. Staples helps you ship all of your gifts and packages this year. Now save 25% on UPS expedited shipping services, plus take up to 30% off select shipping supplies like boxes, tape, and padded mailers. In-store only off Ren's 1-2-21. See store for details. Staples. For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Welcome back to the Power Hour. Mark Kelly Tyler and Dwayne Royster. Hey, WURD family, want to buy black for the holidays? We got you covered. WURD Radio is proud to present our virtual holiday marketplace online. Support local, small, black-owned businesses through the marketplace and purchase your holiday gifts today. Go to wurdradio.com/marketplace or wordworks.com/marketplace. And don't forget to get your gifts and make it easy. WURD Radio has put it all together in one place. You can go right online and order your gifts. Let me just say this before you jump in there, that I want to shout out all the folk that are on YouTube. I've been monitoring YouTube today, and nobody said a word but me. But anyway, I'm out there on YouTube. Appreciate all of our YouTube listeners as well that are checking this out. And I just got to throw this one piece in here because I saw this. I actually, although I am lactose intolerant, I love Ben & Jerry's ice cream. I love Ben & Jerry's ice cream. And Ben & Jerry's has honored former San Francisco 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick with his own flavor called Change the World Flavor. The flavor celebrates the activist work to confront systemic oppression and improve the well-being of Black and brown communities, includes fudge chips, graham cracker swirls, and chocolate cookie swirls. So congratulations to Colin Kaepernick on your Change the World flavor coming out with Ben & Jerry's. I will be looking for it soon, and hopefully the Eagles, even though they won, will actually hire you as their quarterback, and maybe we can get to a winning season. All right.
No, bro, no. Your last statement was apparently, again, like I said, you're right. You don't follow sports because you did not see what happened yesterday. That's why, if this were a normal day under normal times, I know when the Eagles have won or lost, I don't have to even look at the score. I'm a Raider fan. In case you don't know, I'm rocking my Raiders gear today, in spite of how horrific they look. But when the Eagles have won or lost, not because of the score, but because of the body language of the city. Literally. I mean, when they have lost, man, it's like it could be sunny outside and everybody's walking like it's raining. It's like, why so down? Did somebody die? It's like, man, you suck. Did you not know the Eagles lost yesterday? And when they won, it's like new money. You can't tell an Eagle fan anything. Yesterday, Jalen Hurt, the new quarterback who just came in, highly drafted, highly anticipated, finally took over for Carson Wentz, who's been struggling, man. I feel sorry for Carson. He's a really nice guy, but he doesn't have it anymore. Something happened after that injury. He has never been right. And Doug Peterson finally pulled the cord and put Jalen in yesterday. Man, that dude was amazing. They beat the Saints. The Saints are on their way, looked like before yesterday, to the Super Bowl, and the Eagles made them look average. And a lot of that had to do with Jalen. Now, here's the funny thing. Funny thing is Jalen is an Omega. So, Omegas, Omegas who play in the NFL typically throw their hooks up. That's when they throw the Q sign up, but Jalen's hooks, to me, kind of look like he's throwing wings up. And so, now, Omegas, don't get mad at me, but I'm just telling you right now what I foresee. Because a lot of our white friends who don't understand Black, Divine Nine, HBCU, Greek culture are going to think that his hooks are him throwing up like eagle's wings.
Right.
And he throws his tongue out. So I think you're going to see when we come back next year into the actual stands, and if he is still the starting quarterback, that every time they score, you're going to see a whole lot of white people throwing up Omega hooks with their tongue out, not knowing that they're being like the Chiefs.
That's the piece terrible.
Wait till I got to call on. I wanted to post that last night, but no, I think the Eagles are good, but shout out to Cap. So check it though. Here we go.
All
right. So my man, Epstein, who's like, you're asking, who is he? He's pretty much like nobody before he went and got published with an opinion piece in the Wall Street Journal, acknowledges that he only has a bachelor's degree. And there is no slighting anyone who has a bachelor's degree. That is an incredible accomplishment. It's incredible to have. It's great to even graduate high school and get a GED. I don't knock any attainment of education. But I say that to say that he has a bachelor's degree. He is criticizing the soon-to-be First Lady of America, Dr. Jill Biden, who has an EDD. It's so that is like a doctor in education. And it's proper in circles to call a person with a PhD or an EDD as doctor. I mean, I have a PhD. I don't typically go by that. I just say Mark Tyler because I received it later in life, so it's no big deal. But if someone were to say it, it's not inappropriate. But again, it's, I sign my name with PhD behind it. Most EDDs do the same, but people call her Dr. Jill Biden. She's earned a doctorate.
That's right.
This guy slams her, calls her kiddo, by the way, and says that she should drop it because it's comic. And this is the part that really gets me when you start reading it. he begins to talk about how the standards have eroded over the years, and having a PhD or EDD is not what it used to be. You know what that means, right? Back when it was more quote unquote rigorous, when only white guys got it. But now all these women have it, and all these quote unquote minorities have it, and it's so much easier. I have a question, Epstein. If you've never actually tried to get a PhD or an EDD, how do you know how easy it is? I mean, it's like, bro, you're not even, it'd be one thing if you had a degree like that to make the comment, but it is so misogynistic. Now, I bring that up because I find it interesting that at the same time, our good friend Snoop is back in the news. This time is not for calling the fight with Nate Robinson and singing Precious Lord Take My Hand after Nate was knocked out, which was funny as all get out. But now Snoop is weighing in on Cardi B and her WAP song, which has caused a great deal of consternation among men. It goes back to your take about women and the right to choose. Right. Look, it's her body. She wants to sing about it that way and put herself out there. That's on her. But Snoop, of all people, Snoop of the "it ain't no fun unless the homies get some" Snoop, is saying that she shouldn't sing that song because it's too personal. I'm like, what's up with brothers today? It's like, dude, man, what is wrong? Just, I mean, seriously, man, help me, because it just seems like people are like in all kind of stuff that they have no business being in right now.
So let's just put it this way. Look, Snoop and other rap, they're getting older, man. They're getting older, right? They are realizing the error of their ways. I mean, after all, Snoop has a show with Martha Stewart. Okay, now you want to talk about somebody that basically, you know, goes from being hanging out with Dr. Dre and talking about all the rap songs that he did, and now he is doing a home show with Martha Stewart. Okay, the queen of Long Island, right? The queen of the Hamptons. He's actually doing, you know, show. I think we have to really take in consideration that folk change, right? They get older, they get more conservative. As you get older, people tend to be more conservative. He's gotten more conservative, and you know, he got
a daughter now.
He got kids. Right, he got kids and probably got grandkids on the way. You know, he's probably looking at the world through a very different lens now. And he was like, that was just too much information. That was too much information.
Well, right. But it's like, you know, but as Robert Garland says, the socialization of men is a problem. It is. Look, you and I have been socialized in this society. So right. I get it. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like, so I know that I'm also a part of the problem because it's who we've been raised to be, and it takes years to unpack it, and we still have years to go. But I just find it extremely interesting that a guy who has made all of his money, and there's not been like some big break where Snoop at some point stopped to acknowledge it and just like, you know, pivot and then move in a different direction. I mean, and I'm like, Snoop, come on, man. First of all, the interview was done when he was in his bathrobe with a scarf on his head, you know, smoking something. And I'm like, bro, sometimes you just need to just wait till I get into a better headspace to do this interview, because I think it is just a horrific look. And, you know, I mean, again, it's just as bad as this Epstein guy. Just, you know, man, come on, y'all. The misogyny has to stop. I mean, it starts with this stuff. And as I said with the Trump piece on the very beginning about starts with inanimate objects being destroyed, and then it becomes people being destroyed. Likewise with misogyny, it starts with bad ideas like this, and then it turns into actual physical things. All right? So I just think that we just have to put a pause. Offset, Cardi B's husband, that's pretty much what he said. He's like, Snoop, dude, come on, man, pause that, bro.
But they got divorced.
Who?
Cardi B and her husband.
Yeah, but he's still speaking up. He's like, look, you know, look, bro, hit a pause on that, man. It's her body. That's what she wants to sing about. Nobody told you about, you know, singing about what you sing about.
Well, I mean, look, it's her body. She was a stripper. She was talking about her experience in her life, and that's the important thing. Anyway, we are now at the end of the show. So Snoop, you know, man, get over yourself. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. to bring you the latest news happenings around Philadelphia in our opinion. Thank you, Dr. Tyler, for everything that you do. Thank you to Coesa for holding down the boards on today.
Dwayne, I'm sorry. Hold on. Robert said they're not. They said they're not divorced. They're still together.
Are they still? I thought they were getting divorced. Okay, that's what I heard. That they had separated. They were getting divorced. Okay.
Yeah,
all right. Well, things change.
Don't put that stuff out there on people, man. I don't want Offset Cardi coming for you. You'll be in her next song.
I know, really. That's all right. So anyway, we'll be back tomorrow. Thanks. Sorry for the callers we couldn't get to today, but we'll be back again tomorrow. You can do it again. Listen, folks, go out, change the damn world, because if you don't, nobody else will. Peace.
Seniors, does your doctor regularly reach out to check on you? Can you walk into your doctor's office and